All right, let's talk about the Detroit Lions potentially moving down and what wonders could it do for the franchise. A lot of people talk about taking Tua, Jeff Okudah, the Brown guy out at Auburn. I mean, also you got the prospects of taking Jonathan Simmons, Chase Young. But I do think the best option for the Lions is to trade down, and I'm going to tell you why. We back, Mercy Sports Talk. We in the building. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, bell icon button, share the videos. And that's the best way to help out the channel. Don't forget, check my other channel, Wild Goodfellas Sports TV, for more sports, music, news, and entertainment. That's my other channel right here on YouTube. And rest in power to Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gigi, and also the family, the parent and the player, teammate of Gigi, that passed away on the helicopter today, man. Very, very sad, man. But let's talk about this Lion stuff. And I think unless Bob Quinn evaluate a guy, he's going to be a superstar talent, Reggie White, a Lawrence Taylor type of guy, or, you know, he feel that Tua going to be the next, you know, Peyton Manning or something like that, you know, then, hey, you take him. You know, you don't get that high in the draft for no reason. If you feel like you got a surefire thing, a straight baller, a straight Hall of Famer, Reggie White type of guy, Randy Moss, you know, John Rand, you got some type of superior talent up there, you take them no matter what the position is, because the Lions are in a position where they need everything. Everybody talking about, oh, turn around like the 49ers, which I will do that stream. Hopefully next week I can get around to it. This team ain't them. If you look at the 49ers, the reason they was bad before last season, Jimmy Garoppolo got injured, right? And also they had a plethora of talent across the front seven. I mean, from, you know, the kid out of Stanford they drafted the same year Trubisky came out. I can never remember his name. To DeForest Buckner, to Eric Armstead, to, you know, Jimmy Ward, who they drafted many, many years ago, playing the nickelback safety position. And they had a lot of talent across that team. Still got Joe Staley there at left tackle, and they had a lot of talent there. And then they got a tremendous coach in Kyle Shanahan, a hell of a play caller. So they had a tremendous amount of talent there, and then what they did was added a D Ford. They added a Richard Sherman. They added the right amount of veteran pieces that fit that what they wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? In the Lions, they need everything. Other than tight end, they even need a center if they get rid of Glasgow that can back up Frank Ragnow and play the right guard position. You know, people talking about the Lions are this close, and that they not close. You know, Jimmy Garoppolo had 8 pass attempts, you know, and they running the ball, you know. So the Lions need everything, and it's a situation where they can trade down and still, you know, find a quarterback somewhere in the future. And also this draft, what's wrong with Justin Herbert? People talk about his accuracy a little off, but hey, Herbert is mobile. He the prototypical guy. I think the system in Oregon kind of hurt him a little bit at the Senior Bowl. He was the MVP. He flashed his talent there, and I like Herbert a lot. He's kind of close to what you want in the quarterback of today. You know what I'm saying? He mobile, he tall, he big, he got an arm. Do he come from a pro-style system? No, he come from that Oregon system. But I do think you can, you know, with a year behind Matthew Stafford, you go get his footwork together, get him under center. You can tweak his mechanics a little bit, and he kind of gets you in the mindset of Aaron Rodgers when he played for Tedford. I think that's a coach name out in Cal, where they had to tweak his mechanics. You know what I'm saying? He held the ball a little bit high. That's what the coach coached to get the ball out quicker. They retooled his mechanics, and that was the West Coast system that he got comfortable in. You know what I'm saying? So if they can trade down and get Justin Herbert and, you know, get a multiple picks and still get, you know, a running back or a defensive player they're looking for. Remember, in the NFL draft in the first round, there's a ton of talent. You know, from round 1 to round 7, you can find a Hall of Famer. Just not like the NBA where, you know, it's hit or miss. It's only so many superstar talent. If you find a Paul George or a Kawhi Leonard in the middle of the draft, and Giannis McCollum, a Donovan Mitchell, or Rudy Gobert, Manu Ginobili, or Tony Parker, or in the second round, Draymond, Monte, Isaiah Thomas, you looking up on there. No, in the NFL draft, there's talent everywhere. So I don't understand why people ain't ruled, why people haven't thought more of they can trade down, still get Herbert, and still get another pick in the first round and still acquire a player. Herbert can really play the game. You know what I'm saying? Herbert can really play. And if you don't believe he ready to step in right now, if you can trade down and get him in the middle of the draft or a little bit later, he ain't gonna make as much as Tua Tagovailoa, and he healthy. And he probably need a little bit of development, under center, footwork, 3-step, 5-step, five and a hitch, 7-step drop. And he can learn behind Matthew Stafford. If he got to sit 2 years, his salary not going to kill you. You know what I'm saying? So he an ideal dude to sit behind Matthew Stafford and learn. And he got some Stafford trait. Got a really good arm, really mobile, big kid. And Darrell Bevell is a good offensive coordinator where he kind of can rebuild him or retool him and get his mechanics together. And he really preached that West Coast offense a little bit too. So I don't understand why people haven't really thought about Herbert moving down a little bit, getting Herbert and doing it that way. You know what I'm saying? You know, like I said before, you still can take a top talent in the top 3. But remember, the Lions got a lot to fill out. Need all the linemen they can get, offensive linemen. They need all 4 of them, you know, other than the center position. They need all 5 because then you still got to get somebody to play center if Frank Ragnow get injured, if you get rid of Graham Glasgow. Don't forget, you need a receiver that stretch the field. They lack speed. Don't forget, you need a running back. Both Scarborough and Kerryon Johnson ain't the answer. They need a running back that's explosive. And maybe they look at Melvin Gordon in free agency and say, hey, that's the guy we need to complete our backfield. Cool. People talking about Jeff Okudah, right? Well, hey, any cornerback, if you take somebody in the top 3, they got to start. Jeff Okudah might get torched early because ain't no front 7. The front 7 suck. Especially if Harrison don't come back, and don't give me that A'Shawn Robinson BS. He ain't that good regardless. People say, A'Shawn Robinson is garbage in this system. You know what I'm saying? So you need defensive tackles. You banking on Hand coming back healthy. You banking on Trey Flowers doing what he did last year. You need to probably replace Devin Kennard. You know what I'm saying? You need a safety because Will Harris to me ain't the answer no matter how much they want to preach it. So you need a lot in the front 7 to really get there. To get Okudah there. So you got to do some things in free agency to get Okudah where Okudah be able to produce. And also don't forget they still may trade Darius Slay as well. So they got a lot of options. The Lions are in a great position. They're in a great position, but they need a lot of things. They can focus on the offensive line. They can focus on the defensive line. They can focus on the linebackers. You know what I'm saying? But the number one thing they do need to focus on, or one of the top 2 things they need to focus on, and the first one, I've talked about the quarterback position. The second one is how to get that run game going, because the run game is going to make everything better. Look at the 49ers. They chew up clock. They run the ball. Garoppolo ain't got to do much. It takes the stress off of him. You know, and if Stafford can hand the ball off and then play action, he'd be more effective. But committing to fixing the run game will probably require you to move down to acquire picks, the multiple picks to fix the run game. Because you will need a left tackle. This is what I would do. I would do left tackle in the draft, right tackle in free agency if I could find one. Middle of the rounds, I look for a couple guards, and I'm trying to find a veteran backup center. That's what I would be looking at to do in the offseason. And I would try to look for an explosive back like J.K. Dobbs or I would try to look for Jonathan Taylor. If not, I would take Melvin Gordon, and then from there I fill in whatever else I need. From free agent and draft. I want to rebuild the D-line. I want to rebuild the linebackers. But the first thing the Lions need to do is rebuild the running game. That's one thing that haven't been consistent. They had high-scoring offenses. They had good defenses over the last few years, Mayhew and Bob Quintier. But the one thing they haven't done since James Stewart left in that little season with Reggie Bush that him and Drake Bill tapered off towards the end, they haven't had a consistent running game, and they haven't had explosive playmakers since Java Best left. So that's what they actually need to do is rebuild. My number one priority would rebuild the run game. But this kind of takes me to the third part of the video. Is an option that a lot of people haven't talked about. What you could do is trade down and acquire multiple picks next year to try to ante up and get Trevor Lawrence and say we just ride out with Matthew Stafford next year. If Stafford happened to get hurt, next year, well, the silver lining is we might be in a running to get Trevor Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would look at. I would also look at acquiring future picks to acquire, Trevor Lawrence next year, because remember this, you got an extra 5th round pick this year for Quadre Diggs. Also, you're going to trade Darius Slay this year, so you're going to acquire 2 extra picks in this year's draft. So if you move down in the draft with a team like Miami, they'll know who can be bad next year. You move down and you just say, hey, give me your 1 next year and give me a 1 and a 4 next year. Okay, cool. And then you get some picks to move up for Trevor Lawrence. That could be a move as well, too, for the franchise. Trevor Lawrence may be that franchise elevating player that can do what Stafford couldn't do because he's special. In my opinion, he a better prospect coming out of college, even if he came out his freshman year, than Matthew Stafford. He got he got breakaway speed for a black, white, orange, Simpson, yellow quarterback. He got a great arm. He's strong. He's ready to play right now. Durable. You know what I'm saying? So that's something they could look at as well, too. 2 quarterback prospects that people not talking about. I would look at Trevor Lawrence and I would look at Herbert. Moving down, getting Herbert, that ensures you that you got your quarterback of the future and not at an expensive price. Next year, if you get picks next year to get Trevor Lawrence, that would ensure you, hey, Stafford don't have no pressure next year. Next year, Stafford, when you cut him, his cap hit ain't that big. You could take Trevor Lawrence and not miss a beat. So those are things that Bob Quinn could consider, but people say, well, Bob Quinn, what if he's not here next year? What if Bob Quinn is not here next year? Well, at the end of the day, he said he's not worried about that. He said he's going to build the team the right way and build it, block by block by the foundation. But I don't see Martha Ford firing Bob Quinn. Now, if she end up, kind of, laying the rest, and I'm not praying that, then maybe things are a little bit different for her, in my humble opinion, because, somebody else will be, or for the team, because somebody else will be running the franchise. So that may be something that people may look at, I think Bob Quinn, as long as Martha breathing, his contract is still here, I think Bob Quinn is going to be here. So those are some scenarios that people are not thinking about. But my premise is this. The number one priority for the Detroit Lions is quarterback. If it's a plan to get Lawrence next year, like I'm saying, you do it. If it's just having a plan next year, like, all right, next year we're going to get a quarterback. Or later in the draft, we're going to look at Love. We're going to let Eason. We might move up in the first to get Eason. Remember, the Lions going to have multiple picks because Darius Slay probably going to get traded. Quadre Diggs bring a 5th-round pick. If they want to trade down, they can have multiple picks. You know what I'm saying? So they can get a quarterback later in the draft. That's no problem. But then my number 2 priority, and my number 1 priority is not to have to take a quarterback. It's to have a plan to get a quarterback. If it's trade down, get Herbert. Stay at 3, get Tua. Or if it's take a quarterback later in the draft, move up in the end of the first, take Eason, take Love later in the draft and find a quarterback you like. Or say next year we're going to just get some picks next year, accumulate some picks, will and deal this year, and try to get Trevor Lawrence next year. Then I'm looking at that scenario. But a plan for a quarterback is the number 1 priority for the Lions. Know what you want to do at quarterback going forward. All right. Number 2, the actual real plan is to fix the running game. That starts off with the offensive line and bringing in an explosive running back or a running back you feel that can complement the backs you already got. Look at 49ers, Breida, Morstead, and you got Tevin Coleman. All right. You got 3 really capable backs of doing the job there. So you feel you like Scarborough, you like, Kerryon Johnson. If you want to add a Melvin Gordon, okay, nobody else really pulling on Melvin Gordon, you get him at a good price. You put Gordon, Kerryon, and Scarborough there, I like it. If you want to get J.K. Dobbs or Jonathan Taylor, another back later in the draft or at some point in the draft, cool. But then again, left tackle, I'll probably draft one if it's one out there. Right tackle, you get a veteran right tackle. You need a left guard. You need a right guard if Graham Glasgow will come back. You need a backup veteran center. So I would address that offensive line first, along with the running game first. That should be their first priority personnel outside of quarterback. Address the running game. Address the offensive line. So Stafford in his 12th year don't have to do as much. But like I said before, the Lions will have a lot of picks. If they want to trade down, if they want to trade down and get picks next year, get picks this year, trade down, take Herbert, get a pick, use a pick later, take a quarterback. They want to get multiple offensive linemen. I would like to see them address one group. You know what I'm saying? That's either the running game, the line and the running back, the defensive front 7. So we'll see what they do. Just a little small talk. Hopefully I'm able to go live pretty soon, kind of do the 49er video. Check my other channel out. I have a Super Bowl prediction up tomorrow. Goodfellas Sports TV right here on YouTube. Once again, rest in power to the brother Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gigi, And also, not to be forgotten, the parent and the teammate that was on the plane with him. Don't forget, we on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can reach out to the email if you have a business question, inquiry, sponsorship, or video quest. Keep sharing the videos. Want to make a donation, just share the video. Appreciate the love, support. One time for the one time. Motor City Sports Talk. It's your boy.